Babe, why are you yelling? I don't know where those packages came from, like I said. Today we're going to talk about how to collect cards without losing your marriage. Stick around. Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. We've got kind of a fun topic, semi-serious. Well, I would say it's probably pretty serious topic about marriage and cards. I've seen this come up quite a bit in chats and different videos and live streams. We're talking about kind of where the spouses, husbands, wives, whatever, how they are able to kind of coexist within a fun hobby like this one. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. I come out with almost daily sports card collectibles content. A lot of it is more on the positive side, but we also do touch on, newsy type stuff that is negative because frankly, there's stuff in the hobby that's great and there's stuff that's not. So stay here. Make sure you hit the subscribe to the notification bell. And if you like what you hear in this video, please give this a like so we can get it out to the algorithm, spidering out to the masses. Also, please connect with me on Instagram. I like to share different cards, different comic books, different collectible stuff, and also just funny memes and different things like that. It's at The Personal Finance Dad. I'm also on Twitter, The Personal Finance Dad. All right, so a little bit about me. I am married. I have 4 kids. So I have responsibilities. I'm not a bachelor, just has free reign over my money. I do have things that I need to pay attention to. When it comes down to it, among other things, I have to pay the mortgage every month. So cards, while it's awesome and it's fun, along with all the other financial things that are going on, there's also retirement to think about. There's college savings. There's all sorts of different other types of investments. There are things to think about. So I think this is an important topic. Like I said, this has come up in different live streams that I've been watching and different videos. And it's kind of it's a topic that's semi talked about. And so but I don't feel like it's enough. So I wanted to kind of share my story, some of the things that I try to do, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it's perfect. It's not. Fortunately, I have a wife that is very supportive, but there's been instances where she's been like, hey, I think that we need to rein this in a little bit, or let's kind of like refocus. What about this? How are we paying for that? And look, I've got to respond to that. I can't be like, no, I'm going to do my thing. Cards for life. No, I mean, look, this is in reality of relationships, we have to compromise. We've got to figure it out. So I think what's important, I'm going to start off with saying first, being open and honest with the other person, whether it's your husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, being open and honest about your intentions, about what you're trying to do while collecting, or if you're trying to flip certain cards, I think it's important to just over communicate. Now, sometimes you might have a partner that just doesn't care. They trust you and they're like, blah. But the problem with that can be is they trust you until they find out that 40 packages just came in the mail yesterday, and then they're questioning, why did this happen? And then you have to share your game plan. Whereas if you just kind of put it out there right up front and just say, hey, look, this is what I'm planning with X amount of dollars here. Let me know your thoughts, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. It's better to just kind of get it out there, talk through it. And then that way there's no surprises on the back end where it's like, oh, okay, I've got these cards that I'm holding on to. I was planning to sell them. They're not selling where I thought they would be. I'm actually going to sell them for less so that I can get into something else, or so I can pay these other bills that we've got. Or I did really well. I ended up selling them and I doubled my money. And that's how I'm going to use that money to buy more stuff, or I'm going to use that money to pay for, to put towards kids' college fund or whatever it is. But I think the over communication part is really, really critical in relationships in general, but certainly when it comes to this stuff, because we can all get down a rabbit hole and get excited about a certain set, a certain type of card or whatever without a game plan. There's a lot of kind of that FOMOing in, and it's not even just with cards. This could be with crypto or NFTs or other or traditional investments, real estate stuff, stock stuff. And so it's important to just over communicate, in my opinion. Next, and I already kind of touched on this a little bit, but being deliberate and really having a plan with your collection. What are you trying to do? But also, I think it's important to be flexible to where if you do learn of a new set, and also it depends on where you are in your hobby journey. For me personally, I am about 4 years back into the hobby. I'm still learning about new sets. I'm still finding new things out there. So I'm still touch and go as to where I want to be and where my collection is going, and it evolves. There might be something I was really, really into last year. I'm not so much into it this year, but I'm really into this. And so I need to kind of move some of this stuff to get into this stuff, maybe sell some of the lower lower end stuff to be able to pay for some of this newer stuff that I'm into. But I think that that's the whole point of trading cards in general. We trade in and out of them. That's the whole point. When we were young and we were collecting cards, what did we do if we weren't really into a card anymore? We traded it with our buddy who might be into Ken Griffey Jr., might want that Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card, and I'm now into Shaq. So I want the Shaq rookie card. You trade it out. That was the whole point of this in the beginning, starting out. And that doesn't really change, in my opinion, as an adult. It's just that now we have more resources and we have different options. I mean, for me, growing up junk wax era, there was no internet. There was no eBay. There was no alt. There was no PWCC. There wasn't any of this stuff. So it's very, very different. I think it's important to let go of certain types of trading cards, collectibles that don't really serve you anymore. Are they providing not just value as far as monetary value, but also sentimental value? Do you look at it and you're like, man, this is sweet. I love this thing. Or is it kind of like, this is just taking up space, or I FOMO'd into this, but I'm not really into it. Those are certain things where I think that hard decisions have to be made sometimes, where maybe it was a card that was bought for $50 that now sells regularly for $20 or $25, moving out of it, getting the $20 out of it to be able to put into other things, as opposed to maybe waiting and waiting and waiting for it maybe to get back up to $50. Unfortunately, over the last couple of years, unfortunately, over the last couple of years, prices went way up, which if you were a big time seller, then you probably did pretty well. However, if you are someone that bought in, which I think I'm a combination of these, where I bought in low to where I was able to sell pretty well. But then at the same time, I also rebought into other things where I might be under on certain things. But I will say, though, I never took massive risk in the sense that there are certain cards, if you're buying at the beginning of the year, January, February, March, that were $10,000 that are now $2,000. It's all relative for how much funding you have. But I was always kind of nervous about going in real big. For me, I might have cards instead where it's all relative. So I might have bought it for 100 and now it sells for 40 or 50, but I've always been really careful. And over the last year, especially, I've always followed the line of like, I'm not going to buy this unless I'm okay being stuck with it. I'm okay sitting on it. It's got to be a card player set that I really like, enjoy for the long haul. If I happen to sell it in a shorter period of time, great. But if not, then I'm okay having it for a while. With the YouTube channel and having other types of relationships with content creators, it was important for me also for my wife to see that community that was built. So it's not just collecting cards, but it was great to go to the National last year, and she got to see firsthand and on really a grand scale what's going on in the hobby, what the hobby is all about, and not even just meeting perfect strangers that came up to us, but then also being able to hang out with other content creators. And she was able to see more so than just its little pieces of cardboard that it was, okay, there's also friends that are attached to this as well. And that's another part of the joy that's coming from the hobby. It's not just the cards itself, but it's also like-minded people and coming together. And I think everybody needs some of that. If my wife has hobbies, I have to support that. I have hobbies. And it's kind of like, that's how you get through the stresses of life. Like, let's be real here. Life is hard. Life can be very stressful. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be stuff that hits you right in the face that you weren't prepared for. We're all going through those things. So, having a hobby, having something that is, a distraction is really, really great. But it's also, you have to be careful that you're not kind of going all in on that distraction and then neglecting, the important family stuff, work stuff, whatever needs to be done. So it's an incredible balance that has to be struck. Also over the last couple of years, and not even just the last couple of years during the boom, but really since breaking has taken hold, there is a sports betting element to sports card collecting / investing that's been going on over the last, 3, 4, 5 years as breaking has really taken hold. And for people that have, issues with addiction, this can be troublesome. So that's another thing, is really being self-aware as to, how to just keep it in check. A break might be as entertaining for you as going bowling with your buddies or going and playing golf with your friends. Maybe a card break gives you that same sort of fun rush, but at the end of the day, it is still scratch-off tickets, especially for the high-end stuff. When we're talking about buying into a flawless National Treasures, card break, you might be spending $200, $300, $400, $500 to get a spot in the break, and you might walk away with absolutely nothing, or you might walk away with one card, two cards, that gets you $100 back on, on your buy-in. So that is incredibly important to just know. Now, of course, you might also hit the $10,000 card, but that's really no different than buying an expensive lottery ticket. So self-awareness is really, really important. And knowing your tendencies, maybe knowing past mistakes that have happened, and being able to just say, okay, I don't want to get in too deep here to where it affects my relationship, to where it affects, family life, etc. And that's not just for breaks. That can be buying single cards. That can be FOMOing into a single card that's, gone up. You're kind of chasing it up and then you get stuck, and who knows, maybe over time it does come back up to where it was before, but there are no guarantees with any of this stuff, no guarantees with it. And then how long are you willing to wait? You might need that liquidity. You might need that funding for other things. And so difficult decisions have to be made. Understanding that maybe your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend aren't going to be into it as much as you are. And that's okay. It's okay that your wife or husband isn't all in on sports cards. It is a niche hobby. You're either kind of into it or you're not. She might be into something completely different. He might be into something completely different. And that is perfectly okay. So kind of accepting that and respecting it, very, very important. But while they might not be into the actual cards themselves, they can wrap their heads around, like I said before, the community piece and the aspects of the hobby that bring joy to you. And obviously, if they care about you, they want you to be happy. If they see that thing, if they see the passion, then they're going to understand, okay, this is more than just pieces of cardboard. This is more of a community. This is a lifestyle, if you will. There's parts of it that are somewhat of a lifestyle. Also, and I have to check myself on this too, enjoying your current collection that you have. There's always kind of that next chase. There's that next card that you're looking for. But man, when I look around, it's like, there is so much to be thankful for what I already have. It's not as if, and the problem here is that there's a zillion cool cards out there and amazing cards and one of ones and shiny this and shiny that, vintage this, vintage that are awesome. If you spend too much time on eBay, you just end up spending a bunch of money. It's kind of like women when they joke about going into Target, they can only buy one thing. That's like men on eBay right now. That's like 35 to 45-year-old men and some women. I say some women because I'm looking at the YouTube demographics, folks. And it's literally like 98% men and 2% women. So I'm not trying to discount women. I know there's women in the hobby, Women of the Hobby YouTube channel. Check them out. I know there's She Collects Cards. There is, women in the hobby, but let's face it, there's just less. I think that's going to change over time though. I do think there will be more women that get into this hobby, but that's just kind of where we are. Also just enjoying what we already have, kind of understanding that there's always going to be something greater out there or something better. There's always going to be someone that has better cards than you or whatever, more expensive cards, but it's enjoying the stuff that you actually have and love. That's the really important thing. If you're chasing, Nat Turner's collection, then, we're all going to be disappointed. There's just not too many people that can chase Nat Turner. For example, he's one example. There's many. I'm trying to think too. There's a couple of guys on Instagram that have absolutely incredible Tom Brady card collections. And I always see the cards and I'm like, man, that's what I want my collection to look like. But the reality is, some of these guys have, $1 million in Tom Brady cards that are on IG. So it's not going to happen, at least not, unless, I do win a scratch off ticket. Unless I do win the lottery, but just kind of accepting that and enjoying what you already have is critical. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts. Have you had success kind of operating in this space where you're trying to keep boyfriend, girlfriends, husband, wife happy? How are you doing it? And throw in your thoughts in the comments because it's always appreciated. It always kind of lends advice to other people that might be in the same spot. I think a lot of us are dealing with this. One person that has great memes on Instagram, Lamine James, I'll throw one up on this particular topic because it's funny, but it makes total sense. Check his IG out at Lamine James. Have an amazing day ahead. Stay healthy. Stay awesome. I will talk to you again later.